Hello crafty friends, welcome to another Step Up Your Stenciling video. Today we're going to use stencils with masking paper to get two different effects. So I've cut a piece of masking paper with a stitched rectangle die, and it's the same size as my card's panel is going to be. And I've placed it on my rule of thirds acetate grid just to give me an idea where the intersections of the lines are. If you want to know more about the rule of thirds and the grid, check out this video. And I took some wonky heart dies and placed them on my masking paper in a cascade from the top left down to the bottom right, and I put the largest one on the intersection of the right hand line and the top line, because that's where my focal point is going to go. And then I used a little bit of washi on each heart to hold them in place while I ran them through my die cutting machine. Once I'd cut everything, I put the outline, the outer piece of masking paper, over a panel of watercolour card. I didn't peel the backing off with this, I just used it as a jig to help me get those hearts where I wanted them. So I peeled the backs off the hearts and then stuck them onto my panel, removed that outer piece of masking paper, and then gave the hearts a really good press down so they were well and truly stuck. And then I took that outer part and another panel of cardstock, and I removed the release paper and stuck it down to my panel. And again, I gave it a really good press down so it was in good contact with the paper. The cardstock I'm using today is Tim Holtz watercolour paper. I wanted something nice and bright and white. And I also wanted to use my Catherine Pooler inks for blending, and I find I get a much better result with blending with these inks if I use a mixed media paper or a watercolour paper. The ink just soaks in better. So onto the inking, I started with Hot Tub, which is a lovely blue-green, one of my favourites, and I used a blending brush to add this through the apertures in the masking paper. I wanted to create some nice soft green hearts. I did the same thing to the other piece, but this time instead of getting green hearts, I'm blending over the heart masking paper. So the area around the hearts will be green, the hearts themselves will stay white. I then added some Skylight, which is a more saturated, darker blue-green. And I just added this in a few places on the open hearts, and on the other piece I concentrated the darker green down the middle of that diagonal. And now for the stenciling. I laid my stencil over my panels and blended on some sea glass ink. This I believe is a green blue, so it's very similar to the blue greens, but it's a bit more saturated, so I knew it was going to stand out on the blending that I'd already done. I chose this particular pattern because it's a small pattern, and I knew I was going to be able to get some of it in every single one of the hearts, even the tiny heart. On the first panel I did manage to jog my stencil and blurred it a bit, but I decided to keep going because it looked absolutely fine. To bring in a bit of sparkle and shine, yes, you've guessed it, I spattered on some gold metallic watercolour. I then gave these a really good dry with my hairdryer and peeled off the masking paper. Masking paper is a low-tack sticker type paper, and it usually doesn't tear the cardstock that you stick it on. It peels off really easily, but you can help it along if you think it is going to tear by warming it with your hairdryer or a heat tool, because that will soften the adhesive on the back. So using a hairdryer has the advantage of drying your inks, your paints, but it also helps you remove the masking paper. So that was all the work I wanted to do on the backgrounds. I stuck them to my card blanks using some double-sided tape, and then I die cut out using the large heart die 2 gold hearts, and I used one of the papers that I bought back from Japan. It looks like paper has had gold leaf stuck over it. It's a really pretty finish. So I popped those over the large hearts on the background, but offset. up and to the left a bit, so some of the heart is sticking out down and to the right. You can see what I mean. For my sentiments, I used a So Grateful die, and I backed the white die cuts with some paper that I'd coloured with skylight, so it stood out really well against the gold and toned in with the other colours. And then I cut out a couple more of the hearts and added those above and below the larger heart. And that's these cards finished. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you maybe want to go and try some masking and stenciling. If you have enjoyed the video, please do leave a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll see you back here very soon for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.